Thank you, Deborah, and good morning. Well, today is the big day, yes. Hey, what's happening today? Yes, the Super Bowl of chips and avocados. Did you know that this is that day? It's the Super Bowl of chips and avocados. You know, they're talking about, well, some people are talking about making Monday a national holiday because half of the country is hungover, I suppose. I don't know. I think it's perfect, a national day of chips and avocados. What do you think? I think it's a great idea. Being able to, I think this is the day that more Americans consume more avocados than any other day of the year, so I think it's appropriate. One moment, please. No, I don't have an avocado. That would have really been good. Dang it. You know, sometimes I just, my good ideas come just 3 minutes too late. So, I wrote about 3 talks this week. I wrote my original talk, and then, I was inspired last night, and then I wrote, I think, like 2 more talks this morning. I have no idea what's going to come out of my mouth today, and the printer doesn't work, so I'm just saying, if it's all right with you, today I'll have my notes with me. Is that okay? Is everyone cool with that? One of the things I love about the Super Bowl is that it's played rain or shine. It could be hailing, snowing, an earthquake. I don't know about an earthquake, but it's always played, yes? It's there, rain or shine. What a wonderful metaphor for spirit. So here's our talk. I'm blessed, rain or shine. I am one with spirit. I am blessed, rain or shine. I am one with spirit. I am blessed, rain or shine. Together, I am one with spirit. I am blessed, rain or shine. And so it is. Now, that was really good, but this is the Super Bowl of Chips and Avocado Day. So let's give it our Super Bowl of Chips and Avocado energy to it. Ready? Oh, what was it again? Yes, I'm one with spirit. I am blessed, rain or shine. Together, I am one with spirit. I am blessed, rain or shine. And so it is. Thank you very much. Good night. It has been a week. This last Sunday, it was raining, and then it was shining, and then it was raining, and then it was shining. And it was just a weird, fingers of rain flowing through our atmosphere. And the next day, a friend of mine and I went to the DeYoung Museum to see the Ramses exhibit, the King of Kings, the Ramses exhibit. I don't know if you're familiar with King Ramses from Egypt. I guess the most powerful, prosperous king. They built the most temples in Egypt. Had all of the gold. So I was excited to see the exhibit. And when we got there, we were blessed because it was so sunny. It was a nice sunny day. We got there a little bit early, so we started to do laps around the little amphitheater that's outside of the DeYoung Museum. It's beautiful. It's still winter, so there's nothing blooming, but just being outside, being in the sun, and being able to walk around, it was just a fantastic time. Then it was our time to go in, so we walked in, and we got in line, and sooner or later, we were in the line waiting. And it's one of those lines that zigzags back and forth. Well, we stopped right at a point where there was somebody on the left of me and somebody on the right with me. And by the way, there were like 18 children field trips that day. It was fabulous. All the kids having fun. You're running around, getting in line, getting ready to see the Ramses exhibit. And so they're up in front of us, and they're doing kid things, right? They're all doing their little clapping things, and they're talking. And we're in an enclosed area, so the noise level starts to get a little high. And I'm just kind of sitting there, and the person to the left of me goes, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this! I had to listen to kids all my life. Haven't they heard of the inside voice?" And then the person to the left of me says, "When are we supposed to be in? When are our tickets?" 10 o'clock. It's already 10:15. Now, for the record, it was only 10:12. So here I am in the middle of this, complaining to the left of me, complaining to the right of me. I just kind of smiled and looked at the person on my left, and she's sort of explaining why she's complaining, right? Well, I used to be a teacher, and haven't they heard of inside voice? And, I have 3 kids, and the youngest is 14, and that's the inside voice. Just saying. I said, well, maybe they need to learn the museum voice. I don't know. And then my friend turns to me and says, I've gotten to the point where I'm not complaining as much, right? Because I'm using all the spiritual principles, and I'm just not complaining as much, except for when I'm around someone complaining. And so we had a great conversation about complaining about the complainers. Anybody ever do that? Now, come on. Yeah. Absolutely. And you know what? This is a normal behavior. So take a deep breath. Anytime we start learning spiritual principles, all of a sudden we find ourselves there. All of a sudden we discover, hey, I've been practicing daily, and I don't complain as much. All of a sudden we realize, life has gone a lot smoother, a lot more, gentle and easy. Except for these guys. Right? We always have those exceptions. And what happens naturally is that the idea is we're still judging, but now it's a matter of judging, God, these guys really need to find unity. Right? How many have ever said that? Because we haven't gotten to the point, see, this thing is we're still judging other people. And that's where we need to get over that hurdle. And when I found myself in that situation, I was thinking about it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, they're not bothering me at all. Yeah. That's right. They'll call me the minister for nothing. And then we got into the exhibit. Now, with 17 or 18 kids, schools of kids running around, it was it was fun. I was walking around very calm, and, the kids are, darting back and forth in their little packs. You know how kids do it, right? And I was sitting there reading one, and I have to get kind of close because maybe I need new glasses, but reading the little plaque on there, and one kid runs up, he's like this tall, runs up, oh, I got to get a picture. And I'm like, okay, yeah. No, I'm not complaining. No, that's cool. I'm telling to myself. And then after a while, the room started getting narrow. It was in a narrow passageway. And there were a lot of people, a lot of kids, a lot of traffic. And it started to get a little warm, and I was just thinking, gosh, I could really use a little more airflow right now. You ever have that feeling? And I noticed myself each time thinking, I'm not going to complain. I'm just going to notice. They should. Oh, wait a minute. Wouldn't it be nice? I could use a little more airflow. So that's the data, and I wasn't complaining, honest. And at the end of the exhibit, it opens back up, and we were out, and I felt a big relief. So there was some stress going on in there, and that's okay. There was some things that were happening that I didn't like, and that's okay. I was able to be in it and be with those little kids and understand where they were coming from that time. Not every time, right? We can't do it. Maybe we can, but what I have found is that there are times when I dip in and dip out of the spiritual practice. That's why it's daily. Dip in and dip out of it. And when I'm out of it, the quicker I can remind myself, wait a minute, it's okay. You're safe. Get back on my cue card. Get back on my spiritual principle card, right? Get back on living that expression of love and faith and living that expression of self-awareness, of open-heartedness, and being willing to be in the situation and not be diminished by it. So in spiritual growth, I often hear people get to that point where they're like, gosh, this is so great. I want everyone else to know about it. And we do. But not everyone else is ready to go there. And it doesn't mean that we're more advanced with them, because sometimes we're not. Right? Sometimes we're in the dip of our spiritual experience. And sometimes we're at the peak of our spiritual experience. And the best way that I have found to express to people the benefit of spiritual principle, of what unity has to teach, of what new thought has to teach, of just being open to what Spirit is saying to you, is to be open to what Spirit is saying to you. There will be times in our life when it is raining, when it is storming. Spirit is there. There will be times in our life when it is sunny and it is beautiful. Spirit is there. Rain or shine, Spirit is there. Rain or shine, you are blessed because you are the expression of that Spirit. The I am principle says that God is within me like the ocean is in the wave. There is no separation. You are the manifestation of that consciousness here to bring into manifestation more of that consciousness, more peace, more compassion, more empathy, more understanding. You're here to be that. And to be it in your own unique and special way. Each of us has within us something special to give to the world. Yes? So my daughter has a wonderful gift. She is, they are a dancer. And I was driving them to dance one morning. This was like 2 days later, this last week. And it was doing that raining, sunny thing, rain and shine. And we're driving into the parking lot just over here at Coverly, and it starts pouring. And right in front of us, it's blue skies, and the sun's over there. It's like shiny. And I open the skylight in the car, and it's completely clear. It's blue sky above me, and yet it's pouring on me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, isn't this cool? I call it, blue sky rain. I just made that up. Someone can tweet that, put my name next to it. Thank you very much. Blue sky rain. It was blue sky above, and the rain was pouring off us. Isn't that cool? And she, earphones in, phone. So we drive around the corner. I'm like, oh, look, somewhere there's got to be a rainbow. You want to find the rainbow? I'm good. Okay. I drop her off, and off she goes. And then I went to find the rainbow. That's not the rainbow. That's a pretty cool rainbow, but I did find it. And here's the thing. It's not that there was, anything wrong with what she did. She just wasn't into it. And how many times in our lives do we, we hear something from someone, and then we tell a story about it. And then we make something up about it, right? So we start telling our story. And what I've learned, because this is my third, that at age 14, the door is either open or it's not. Has nothing to do with me. It does not mean that I'm not loved by her. It does not mean that, she doesn't have respect for me. It doesn't mean anything other than she wasn't into it. I was into it. I dropped her off and I found the rainbow. I sat there for 3 minutes and then I drove on. Rain or shine, there is a rainbow. Rain or shine, there is Spirit. Now, it's interesting because probably maybe 3 months ago, like on the day, we used to get in the car and she would plug her phone in and we'd listen to her music. Now the pattern is we get into the phone, she puts her earplugs in and is listening to her music. And I said, you're welcome to plug it in, and I'm good. Or I would say, another time say, well, do you want to play some music? And she just goes like this, points to her earphone. And then I said to her, we used to share the music together, and she just kind of gives me that. As if to say, not anymore, buddy. Those were my words that I made up there. So whatever the situation is, right, if we're grounded in that Spirit, in that holiness, in that gloriness within us, there is a rainbow. We are blessed, rain or shine. It doesn't mean that everything is going to go perfectly. It just means that we can be grounded and we can stay centered, and we can show up as our best self. And we can show up as our best self. So on the way home from the DeYoung, my friend and I were talking about, well, what's the practice? How do we do this? And the words that came to me was non-resistance. Non-resistance. And this is a core unity practice, right? Non-resistance. And let me tell you what it's not. Non-resistance is not giving up. Non-resistance is not laying down, becoming a doormat, rolling over, becoming a victim. That's not non-resistance at all. Non-resistance is simply making room for what is happening in this present moment. Making room for the rain. Making room for the, I've got my earbuds on. Why are you talking to me? Who do you think you are? Those are my words again, right? My story. So making room for what we are, for what's happening. Become the observer. Become the observer of our thoughts, noticing how we're reacting emotionally, noticing how we are reacting physically, noticing the words, internal or external, that we're using, the story that we're telling. When we can start to become the observer of what's going on in this noodle of ours, then we have the opportunity to shift out of that pain and suffering and move back into the expression of spirit. Another part of non-resistance is using the resistance. When we find ourselves triggered or frustrated or angry or, upset, that's gold for us. We're not resisting it, right? Or we are resisting it. So use that resistance to allow you to ask and look within to say, okay, what is within me that's begging to be healed? What expression of joy, what expression of spirit is begging to be released in this moment that I'm covering up? So we can use the resistance as that evolutionary growth opportunity, that evolutionary trigger, that evolutionary practice. What if none of our triggers were actually triggers? They were just opportunities for growth. Yeah. And every once in a while, I'm walking down the street, and when I'm in the dip, right, I'm thinking, well, that was just your opportunity for growth, buddy. Yeah, we don't want to do that. I'm just saying, I'm modeling that part of it. Use the experience, use the resistance, so that we can have empathy, curiosity, and include a perspective that we may not have understood before, we may not have had before. So in those situations where we are experiencing the storm, can we have empathy for another? Can we hold space for that spark of divinity within them, even if we don't see it? Can we have curiosity? Instead of automatically telling a story about what's going on over here, someone walks up to me and doesn't react the way you want them to react, and the words that go on in our head are judging them, are creating a story, well, they're like this. So can we be curious about, oh, I wonder what's happening with them today? And just send them the energy of love. And can we include their perspective? Ken Wilber, he's the author of the Theory of Everything, and his integral theory is what I've been studying lately, and the integral theory of how can we move from this current state of consciousness. He's done a lot of work and studied Carol Graves, and so that idea of spiral dynamics, that we're always evolving, we're always moving upward, that our consciousness is always growing and changing in an upward progression towards a knowingness of our oneness with Spirit. And the challenge that we have here is that we're all stuck. Not everyone. He says maybe 7 to 10% have gone beyond this, but we're stuck in the idea that I am right and you are wrong. Throughout that spiral, throughout these different energies or these different ideas, from tribalism to the authoritarianism to the self-achiever to even the green planet, we have to do something about the world. Every one of these has a shadow side that is, I am right and you are wrong. And until we can open up and accept and understand someone else's perspective, we don't have to agree, but we can honor and say, okay, that's a perspective. I'm understanding you. And here's my perspective. And transcend the war that happens when we want somebody to agree with us, when we're fighting somebody. So the idea is to include the other person and transcend those things that create separateness. Because the next evolution is not just knowing oneness intellectually, but experiencing oneness. And how can we experience oneness? How can we raise the consciousness of the planet if we're not willing to experience oneness with somebody who we do not agree with? We don't have to agree, but we have to, the goal is to understand more about where they're coming from so that we can honor each other. Now, I know it's great when you're all spiritually on the high. You know, we're good. I'm accepting you. I'm listening to you, but you're not listening to me. So how can I live in that situation? Get back on that expressing spirit. They don't have to agree with you. Everybody wants people to know about unity, and maybe 20% of the population is ready for it. So just be it. The best way to talk about unity is to be it. Is to live that empathy, is to live that compassion, is to live that love, is to express it. And on the days that you're not, just notice it without any shame or blame and allow it to come up again. Allow it to resurface. That's really the idea of non-resistance. It's holding space for another's authentic self. Holding space for another's Christ consciousness, if you will, their divine spark, their higher self, whatever you want to call it. Holding space for it, even if you can't see it, even if they're not expressing it, even if it's not there. If we can hold space for it, then we can allow ourselves to see it when it does appear. Does that make sense? Someone asked me about, the exhibit of Ramses, and how wonderful it was. And it was very interesting because when we got in there was a big monitor, and they were displaying the glories of Ramses and all of the temples that he built. And all of the wealth and prosperity that existed. But he didn't build them. They were all built by Nubian slaves. And all of his exhibits, all of his tombs and temples were ransacked and everything was stolen. So there really wasn't a whole lot there. It was very interesting. It was very intellectual. I enjoyed it. But the realization of it was, wow, I'm sitting here and I came here to see all those beautiful gold statues. And all of that gold was stolen. And all of those statues were built by slaves. Why am I excited to see this? So I came away with it from the perspective of, I'm glad I went, because it opened me up to something new. It opened me up to another idea that I had been blind to, something that was hidden from me. And don't get me wrong, I still love, one of my favorite exhibits when I was a little kid, probably 10, my sister took me to see the King Tut exhibit down in Southern California. Amazing. It was incredible what we've accomplished. And can we continue to accomplish things where we are including everyone? Can we grow to the point where we are including those people on other sides of us that are complaining? I think that's the real challenge of our generation. That's what needs to happen is that, and here I am, I think I'm shaming people, but I think this is where evolution is going. I think the evolution of consciousness is going there. And if we can include all of those who haven't got there yet as the beloved, then we can get there. If we can imagine these great opportunities for us to change the climate, for example, then we can get there. If we can imagine having an opportunity where we can be in a room and have those feelings of, oh, I'm feeling cramped, I'm feeling stifled, that's the data, but I'm okay because Spirit is with me. Rain or shine. Now, last night we had an incredible play. Raise your hand if you were here last night. How was it? It was unbelievable. It was truly amazing. It was a powerful play. I don't know, do we have a count of how many were here in the audience? Anybody? 170 people here in the sanctuary. There were 23 amazing actors. You can give them a round of applause. They were amazing. Now, I may be biased. I get you. I may be biased, but I tell you, there were 2 actors that were on fire. Our own Frank DiMartini and Paul Sislo were part of the play. Yeah. They were amazing. They played 2 of the justices, the stoic and silent. And they pulled it off perfectly. I was inspired. It was an incredible opportunity for us as a community. And I'd like to thank a few people, just a few, who made it happen. Felix, can you put the thank you slide up on the screen? First off, I want to start with Karen Friedman. Karen, would you please stand? Karen was the team lead for this project, and she saw the play in Oakland, I think, I don't know how many months ago, and saw it and said, we have to bring this here. And I said, that sounds great. Go do it. And she did. And so the DEI team, and I can't read everyone's name from up here, from Paula, June, Linda, Lynette, Linda, and Brenna were the team, and Karen were the team that pulled it together. They were the brainstorming how we were going to do it. And then you can see all of the names of people who volunteered throughout the project to make this happen. It takes a village, yes? If you were part of this extraordinary experience, would you please stand? Including you, Karen. Yeah, give them a round of applause. Now, stay standing, stay standing. We're going to bless you. Do you remember our unity blessings? Everyone, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the light in you. Thank you so much for your service. I made this slide this morning, and I forgot to put 2 people's name on it that I really need to, and that's Polo Jones, and Felix, who's in the booth. So let me tell you, you can go ahead and turn off that slide now, Felix. Polo, we're a beautiful sanctuary, low-tech. We didn't have live streaming before the pandemic. Did you remember that? Beautiful sanctuary, low-tech. Polo transformed this into a theater that allowed us to have 21 speaking actors, all mic'd, and to have this experience for us. Now, we're not the current theater, but it was a powerful experience that he was able to immerse us in, to help us immerse us in. So thank you, Polo, and thank you, Felix, for handling the cameras. The actors were phenomenal. And they came here from where? Everywhere. They were everywhere. And they came here to do this for us. And they were amazing, would you say? The thing that I just admire, by the way, I'll introduce Dr. Cindy Acker in just a moment, who is the playwright. The words in the play were 100% from the transcripts of the trials. They weren't all of the words, because that would have been a play that lasted as long as the trial. But they were so well selected to express, in my opinion, the suffering that little black kids had to go through because of segregation. The suffering that their parents had to go through, wondering if their kids are going to be safe. The fact that the relationships between the kids and the families and the neighborhood, right, the rest of the white neighborhood, was fine, was wonderful. And yet the kids had to go travel miles away across train tracks to get to their school, and to stand out in front of their school, waiting in the snow and the rain for the school to open. when there's a school just a few blocks away. The actors were able to bring this to life and to really help you feel the suffering and to help you feel that there's something not right. And it never said, those people are wrong. It just said the law was wrong. The law that was created was wrong. It was a beautiful play that that showed that the people had no problem whatsoever in this scenario, in this example. And I'm certain there were protesters along the way of the trial. So don't get me wrong, there was a lot of battle around it. But the play was a wonderful play to show what we can do and what still needs to be done. Because if we're going to live this principle that we talk about of oneness, then we need to include everyone. And I'm not saying it's easy because, those people are complainers. And sometimes I get a little upset about it. But if we can remember that within them, there is the possibility, the potential, the Christ consciousness that I am not seeing because I'm seeing through my own lens. If we can remember that, then we can have a little bit more compassion in the world. And we can do the work that's ours to do.